It is being reported by a research company called Open Table that does research on restaurants. They're saying that in Washington, D.C., restaurant business is down to the tune of 31% on certain days, and they attribute that to the crime crackdown that President Donald Trump exacted upon Washington, D.C. when he decided to federalize it by sending in the National Guards and taking over the police department. Now, of course, there are other factors, right? Like Initiative 82, which basically says that restaurants cannot impose this mandatory, tip credit on diners. And that's forcing them to raise their minimum wage and actually pay their employees a decent living. And oftentimes that spreads to the cost of the menu going up because they're like, yeah, well, we got to pass it on to somebody, right? And so people are like, yeah, last week I paid $15 for a steak and this week you want me to pay $25? No, I'm not going to do that, right? So people are eating at home. But again, a lot of restaurant owners are saying, yeah, people don't want to be out and about because they're afraid that they might get gaffled up by the National Guards and things like that, right? Now, of course, they said, too, when Elon was up there in Doge and he was slashing employment and things like that, one restaurant owner said, yeah, we don't have people coming in the door no more because they're not working in Washington and they've moved on. But as I got to thinking about, the plummet there in Washington, D.C. And, too bad for those restaurants. It shouldn't be the case. But I thought about, well, there is power in the dollar, isn't it? Imagine if we as Black Americans said, hey, you know what? We don't like the things that are going on with Black Americans, especially from these politicians and things like that. Therefore, we're going to shut it down economically, right? Now let's talk about Target. We know that a lot of people and a lot of Black people said, I'm not going to Target because y'all got rid of y'all DEI, which we know was predominantly for white women. And eventually that's going to help white women again. Well, Target has lost a lot of money due to people like, I'm not going. And I saw today that the CEO stepped down due to the problems that they're having with losing money. So it works, right? And of course, we can always go back to the Montgomery, Alabama bus boycott. That was our folks that say, yeah, we ain't catching no buses for over a year because we don't like that we have to sit in the back of the bus. And of course, that bus company changed their mind and it kicked off, if you will, the civil rights movement where they ended segregation and things like that. Of course, you have to talk about the Black bus company that went bankrupt because Black people was wanting to sit on white buses. But anyway, I digress. So imagine if here in 2025, we say, okay, yeah, Target, you had to get what you got going on, whatever the case is. Now we're going to spread that to everybody. Now something tells me, even though Trump is saying, oh, well, restaurant business is great. He said that the president, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, when he came to visit, he was like, oh, it's great. I have friends calling me up and saying, thank you, Trump. Well, now me and my wife could go out to eat and we don't have to worry about anything. And he even said Democrats are calling and saying, thank you. And wow, you did that in 4 days. I don't know how true that is. A lot of people saying Trump stopped lying. I don't know, he may be telling the truth. But imagine again that if we as Black Americans is like, yeah, we're taking our money from all these restaurants and businesses and things, those restaurants and businesses will call up to the White House and say, hey, listen, we get it, right? Not just in Washington, D.C., but everywhere. We get what you're doing. Yes, we get it. However, it's costing us some money. Those Black Americans are not spending money with us like they used to because they're sick of the treatment that they are getting. And we need you to lay off just a little bit, right? And then imagine if we really stop spending with them and say, hey, we're not going to spend money with you as much as we can until y'all start writing our reparations checks. Oh, yeah, we'll see that a lot faster. But see, the problem is we think that we're going to get things by voting. And yes, we should vote, especially on the state and local level. But we think that's all it takes. I'm just going to vote for the right candidate. And there has not been a right candidate yet for Black Americans. But The minute we start withholding our money, we should be doing that anyway, right? Putting that into our own businesses. The minute we start withholding our dollars from white supremacy, white supremacy is going to be like, listen, Trump and whoever else, right? Biden, when he was in the White House, however you feel about Black Americans, they spend money and that's harming us. So yeah, we need you to knock it off. And that would come from a lot of the lobbyists that go up there getting what they want, this, that, and the other. They say, hey, Trump, you costing us a lot of money. So whatever the Negro is asking for, give it to him. Because we help you, giving you money and a whole lot of other things as well. So yeah, we need you to help us by leaving them alone. What y'all think of that? So anyway, for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to